Hi, I'm a cult to dot. My hat fell. Hi, I'm a cult to Dharma, and I'm here today to discuss with you some amazing Asian horror films. If you haven't heard of all of them, that would be great. I decided to cover this topic because it's something I feel I know quite well, as someone who is relatively lonely with social awkward graces and admittedly a little bit of a weeb. I feel like this is a topic I am relatively well versed in, and if this is something you like, we can make it a regular thing. I could drone and harp on about Asian horror till the end of time. The first film I want to discuss with you is a film called The Curse, also known as Nori in its native tongue. I'm not quite sure. What I am sure of, it's incredibly entertaining. It follows a famous poltergeist investigator after he goes missing and after his house is discovered burnt down along with his wife. So a pleasant start. It goes on to delve into his tapes. He, throughout his career, created a number of books and kind of documentaries, and it follows in kind of a candid camera documentary style way, similar to that of Paranormal Activity and stuff, but much better. His Last Case, which follows a character called Junko, who seems to be, along with a child, in the midst of a kind of poltergeist activity, possession, dead pigeons, weird shit. From there, a team of psychics is brought together in order to kind of delve into this and resolve it. It's really fantastic. I wouldn't say it's the scariest horror ever made, but it has a wonderful cast of colourful characters that you will absolutely fall in love with. A fantastic delivery of that kind of very overutilised in the 21st century candid camera documentary style horror. It uses it to its advantage. It's not done to cut corners and it's not done as a gimmick. It genuinely suits the film. The guy in the tinfoil hat who talks about ectoplasmic worms is one of my favourite things ever. He's insane, but a fantastic character, and it's that sort of thing in this film that really make it. It almost feels like a live action anime film done incredibly well, which is incredibly rare. The second film I want to talk about is a film called First by the acclaimed director Park Chan-wook. I'm sure you're familiar with Oldboy, Lady Vengeance. If you aren't familiar with some of his other works, such as I'm a Cyborg But That's Okay, which is a beautiful film. It's so wonderful. I implore you to watch that too. And a whole host of other films which are just actually fantastic. He's definitely one of the best directors of the 21st century. Incredibly consistent, incredibly talented, and just an overall brilliant film director. He's amazing. But all dick suckery aside, the film First, one of his horror films, is absolutely brilliant. It follows a priest who volunteers to be part of an experimental kind of drug trial for a deadly virus that they've recently had an outbreak of. Unfortunately, he contracts said disease and dies, but mysteriously comes back with kind of all the qualities of a vampire. There's this really nice juxtaposition between his kind of inner conflict because he's a priest. Like, there's this wonderful scene where he's stealing blood packs from patients, and he's kind of stuck somewhere between faith and bloodlust and these kind of new urges he's been given, which I imagine are just an extra stress if you are a priest and part of the clergy. You've got enough to deal with. There's enough vices and temptation and good stuff. The stress of being a vampire and having to suck people's bloods must be a real fucking downer. He also develops an obsession and kind of lust for his wife's childhood friend. Did I say that right? I didn't. The wife of his childhood friend. There we go. Who is fucking insane. She seems like the epitome of temptation. She's almost like a devil, which is a nice kind of addition to him being a priest. They are polar opposites, but for that reason and his recent infection are drawn together. And I think it's a beautiful movie, like in terms of cinematography and special effects and stuff, everything's bang on. There's legitimately some moments in that film where you're like, oh, and when you look at, I don't really want to mention them, the glitter vampires, Twilight and stuff like that, it does not glamorise the idea of being a vampire in any way. If you've seen the film Kronos by Guillermo del Toro, which again doesn't glamorise the idea of vampires, it really reminded me of that film actually, Kronos, which is another film I really implore you to watch, although it can't make this list because it's not Asian. But it reminded me of that in a lot of ways, but with kind of an Asian twist, because they're ghouls, it doesn't glamorise it. You don't come away from first going, I want to be a vampire. No, you don't. You go, no, I'm alright, I'm good, eternal life, and yeah, no, looks fucking disgusting. The next film I want to discuss is a film called I Saw the Devil by an excellent director called Kim Ji-woon. If you've seen films like A Bittersweet Life, which is probably my top 10 favourite films, Tale of Two Sisters, The Good, the Bad and the Weird, incredibly talented director of kind of all genres. He's absolutely fantastic. But his horror film, I Saw the Devil, is really tense, really uncomfortable, and you come away from it asking a lot of questions. The setup is a woman is at the side of the road asking for help. A taxi driver stops to what you think is to help her, and instead kills her, and her head is found in a river, I believe. The woman's fiance, obviously absolutely distraught at this, goes on a quest for revenge. He's also a secret agent, which is a nice addition, so you get some really cool, fucking brilliant action scenes, which this director is particularly brilliant at. I kind of feel like he may have been inspired by people like John Woo, with like Hard Boiled and Face Off. Really action-packed, really engaging, and just really fantastic and fun to watch. But he goes on a revenge mission and finally tracks down this killer. A good chunk of the film is kind of this very tense cat and mouse game between the two of them, and then the inevitable kind of revenge scene makes you wonder who the real monster is at this point. The fiance goes to town on him. He proper fucks him up good and proper. Like, it's quite impressive. So I would definitely recommend that, and I would definitely recommend all of this director's work, really. The next film I'm going to talk about is a film called Visitor Q. If you're not familiar with the work of Takeshi Miike, I really urge you to familiarise yourself, because out of kind of all your Asian horror film directors, he's one of the best. If you've ever heard of films like Gozu, Ichi the Killer, he's really brilliant, and he really pushes the boundaries of what a horror film should be. And one of the prime examples of this is the film Visitor Q. I've got an oddball undertone to it and a weirdness and offbeatness that really kind of make and give the film its charm. The setup for the film is basically a stranger ingratiates himself and embeds himself within a family unit by consistently knocking the perverted, sexually deviant father of the household over the head consistently. And it's really bizarre. He knocks him unconscious, re-finds him, visits his house, becomes a lodger, and you think the stranger's the fucked up one. The family are incredibly fucked up. The mother is an abused woman, the father is a sexual deviant, the little boy is incredibly bullied and developing psychopathic tendencies quite evidently, and a prostitute daughter, and The family unit is very tense, but the introduction of this new stranger allows all of them to kind of submit to their urges and become who they truly are. And who they truly are is pretty fucking disgusting. They've kind of got the offbeat charm of Hannibal Lecter. It's like, oh, I'd love to be Hannibal Lecter's mate. Wait a minute, no, I definitely wouldn't. They've got that wonderful charm about them. In fact, the entire cast of characters do much like Takashi Miike's films like Itch the Killer, and where you develop a real kind of sincere emotion for the characters involved, and there's a part of you that go, I'd really like to know that person. So for that reason I'd implore you to watch it. And some of the scenes are utterly disgusting, some of the murder scenes, some of the kind of typical of a lot of Asian horror films kind of allusion to, like, they don't allude to it, they go full force with it, I'm just going to warn you now, incestual relationships, rape, it covers all the areas that are really horrible and does it incredibly well. And even though at times it's incredibly funny, it's hilarious as a standalone film and incredibly tense and horrifying, it's incredibly charming. And I think Takashi Miike is a master of achieving that. He can show you the most disgusting, crude, kind of shocking ideas, but make the characters utterly lovable despite their heinous acts. The final film I'm going to cover for you is the film Free Extremes. I'm sure a lot of you will be familiar with this because it's relatively notorious, but I feel like it's an Asian horror film staple. It combines three Asian cultures. It has the director Fruit Chan, who's from China, Park Chan-wook from Korea, and Takashi Miike from Japan. Throughout this film they both make 3 short films which cover 3 kind of horrible ideas. Fruit Chan's film is the notorious Dumplings, which follows a woman obsessed with youth and studying young, and she consults this incredibly horrible woman who gives her fetuses to eat to maintain her youth. It works out quite well in her defence, and it's an excellent little short. I really enjoyed it. And then you've got Cut by Park Chan-wook, the second horror short, which is brilliant. A director and his wife are held hostage on a set and are gradually tortured. There's bits with cut off fingers and pianos. The environment is fantastic. It's just brilliant. I really enjoyed it. I implore you to watch it. The final one by, which surprisingly, just on a personal note, I found to be the weakest, Takashi Miike's Box, which follows a woman who has repetitive dreams about being buried in snow, and thinks it might be linked to her sister's death. In all honesty, I really thought it was the weakest out of the 3 films, and going into watching that, I really didn't think it was going to be the case. I feel like the entire highlight of the entire film is the short Cut by Park Chan-wook. It's amazing and visually just a complete treat. It's beautiful short. I say beautiful meaning horrible, but really well done, with the idea of using kind of like a film set. I mean, I know it's been done before and stuff, but he delivers it unbelievably well, and it's the most consistent of the 3 stories, and it's the one I personally bought into the most and felt the most affinity for the characters. Dumplings I felt was the most shocking and was created to be the most shocking out of the 3. But it's still good. It's an incredibly bizarre little idea which obviously ties into kind of a lot of the Chinese black market, which are notorious for kind of using rare animal parts like hearts and everything else to cure ailments. And the whole idea of eating fetuses for the idea to maintain youth has been a rumoured kind of underground black market seedy thing in Chinese culture for quite a while. Whether or not there's any substance to that, I know there was an image flying around the internet of somebody eating a fetus from China and then it turned out to be a hoax. So I don't know how much substance you can give these things, but people can be fucking horrible, so it's not out the realms of possibility now. But yeah, those are my 3 films that I would implore you to watch. Just to recap, The Curse, brilliant film if you like your poltergeist movies and your candid camera films, documentary horror films. Brilliant movie. Definitely give it a watch. The second one being First Part Chan-wook, vampire film, ghouls, bizarre, odd romance, religion, bloodlust, fantastic. Please watch it. I Saw the Devil, incredibly tense action detective revenge story, an absolute must for anybody who likes those type of films and anybody who appreciates a fantastic Asian horror. Visitor Q if you're into the bizarre, the demented, deranged, horrific. It is a Takashi Miike must watch. Absolutely make sure you watch that. I love it. And finally, free at streams. You get free good quality horror films in one movie, which is fantastic, and I think it's a good showcase of directors, and it kind of will let you determine which directors you like and which works to explore more. So I definitely will give that a recommend. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you for spending this time with me. It's been an absolute blast. I love nothing more than staring into a camera talking about the things I like. I could do it all day, and I have. Yeah, until next time, and I'll be talking about something completely brand new. Well, I say completely brand new, probably still Asian horror movies, but we'll have an excellent time. Okay then, bye bye, stay spooky. It's been great, thank you again, bye bye, bye, bye.